got to talk about my favorite,
Yeah.
Yves Tumor. I know
King
that
Tumor.
he's very
The man of mystery.
Yes, exactly. I get that and respect that and love that about
Yeah.
him. But those records to me are so unique.
Yeah.
I mean, it feels like what Prince would be doing now.
Totally.
Like he's just really used the studio in the most outrageous ways. But on top of it, there's these amazing songs.
Yeah.
He's got a killer voice,
Yeah.
and then there's always these guest vocalists that you have on Romanticist and maybe Kerosene. I'm thinking of you did those,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, those are whoever the singers are.
So on
are
Romanticist
stunning.
was Julia Cumming from Sunflower Bean.
Oh,
And to me, she's got one of the best rock
I
voices.
love Sunflower Queen.
Like around.
Yeah.
So and I've worked on an EP with her for Sunflower Bean, and I've also done another song with them. They're awesome. Her voice, she's got one of the best voices in rock.
So that's her doing like even the high stuff towards the
yeah,
end?
yeah. So
Wow.
that's her on Romanticist, and then on Kerosene, that's Diana Gordon.
Oh, I don't know her.
Yeah, and she's a big writer. So she's written songs with for Beyonce and a bunch of like R&B and pop stuff. But her voice is just epic. Yeah, so they're both. That's funny that you picked up on that. Cause
The background,
that's awesome.
the guest vocals on all those cuts are always amazing, and they just fit in with his thing so well.
Yeah.
And
I mean, he's hands down my favorite producer. Like whenever I'm in the room with him, it's just the ideas are always amazing, and he comes in with like really clear. Again, another one like Clem, where it's just like very clear. Has the blueprint, kind of sees where even if you don't know as like the other like where we're headed. I don't know. He just always has like an air of confidence and
so
calm.
he has the vision.
He sees it, and and even if he doesn't see it, he pretends that he sees it, and so he gives us all like this kind of relaxed feeling in the studio, where I think it kind of makes you experiment more, because you don't feel like you're having to like have all the answers at that moment. You know what I mean?
Wow,
it just
great.
feels like, I don't know, we're working on this, and that was a cool mistake. Keep
Right,
it, don't
whatever
touch
happens.
it.
Yeah,
He's very in
the freedom, and
yeah.
that's good.
And he'll just be like, it's done. Don't like stop, like move, step away. It's done. And there's been a couple times where I was like, oh man, is it? Is it done? And then a year later it's out, and you're like, oh yeah, that was perfect. That weird edit happened, or the guitar stopped.
I don't think I've ever heard an artist say it's done.
Yeah, he's really good of when he knows when it's cooked, even if you think it's not. It's like, and that, I think that's again kind of goes back to what you're saying with like the mistakes and like the live band. You know what I mean? Like because he's more of a comes from electronic background, and so that's kind of his way of leaving that element of air and realness, where it's just like, I don't know, it's like it's a little bit off, it's a little bit not quantized, it's a little bit out of tune, but leave it.
Jack White's brilliant like that. He
And
really understands that.
Yeah.
Getting the humanity in things, getting the quirkiness, getting the personality that makes it stand out.
Yeah,
from
you can
everything
tell.
else.
I mean,
because those records sound loose to me. I mean, they're brilliant ideas, but there's a looseness, there's a chaos in them that
to me that's the hardest thing to do.
Yeah.
It's the hardest thing to make something feel loose and live and energetic and raw.
Especially now.
Exactly. But then our favorite records, I'm sure, like his favorite records, like the Stooges and all that stuff, MC5.
He's like a Stooges fan?
No, I'm saying, oh yeah, he loves Stooges.
Oh,
yeah.
awesome.
It's
That's
just like
great.
all that
this
stuff
guy.
just feels raw and just,
yeah.
You know what I mean? But then adding the modern element of like, where all the electronic stuff that he likes, and all the witch house and just all these really far out elements of stuff combined with rock, and I feel like a lot of people aren't doing that.
Yeah, no.
And then the live show is like, it's a full on like sensory overload rock show, like from start to finish, and he's again feels like he's the only person in modern music right now who's like putting on like an actual rock show, And it's kind of funny that he came from like this ambient electronic world and it's grown into like what it's grown into.
Wow.
Yeah.
I know he's really secretive about his process. It's very personal to him. But can you share any of the mechanics, or maybe one specific incident on how you built a track or came out with a sound?
Well, a lot of it's a lot more organic than I think people realize. Like a lot of the drums are real drums. I mean, 99% of it's real drums, real bass, real guitar.
Amazing drummer on that stuff.
Yeah,
I mean,
Henry Schaff, he's
just
killer.
so mechanical, but yet there's a groove to it. Some of the parts are so, I mean, they really feel kind of like, I don't know, maybe Fab from the Strokes, where the parts feel like they were programmed, but yet they're played.
Right, yeah.
And that's just a very unique thing. Most drummers don't really approach things that way.
The record is a lot more organic than people think, and we did a lot of it on tape.
Wow, I would have never thought that.
All of the basic tracking was done on a 8-track, 4-track Ampex 440. So we only used, at any one time, we were only using 4 mics. I mean, we were cheating a little bit. We summed a couple, but it was basically a 4-mic setup at all times.
That's
really
crazy.
cool.
And then you'd bounce everything to Pro Tools.
We'd go into, but we were working off of the repro head, so we were just going straight in.
Right.
But then it was only 4 mics at once.
And vocals, everything like that?
Yeah, everything like that.
Wow.
Yeah, the whole, that's one of the only records in the last few years that I've worked on where everything hit tape. Yeah,
well,
it was cool.
It was
really
it's
cool.
a lot of work to keep everything in sync too.
Yeah,
and
But when you're working off the repro head,
yes,
it's fun. It's just, I think, it's just that extra step of like making sure you don't run out of tape and making sure the tape erases right and the machine doesn't fuck up. And there's been definitely hours spent like with the machine not. Track 3's not working anymore. Why? We just lost the kick drum.
Mm-hmm.
So like that is still a big
Right.
nuisance with working with tape, even though you're going into Pro Tools
and
instantly.
then you have to fight the sound of tape compression too,
the compression,
especially with
the hiss.
drums. Sometimes you get this kick drum sound that you're madly in love with,
Yeah.
and then you hear it back from tape, and you go, "Oh, what happened?" And then you think, "Okay, I'll just hit it a little colder, I'll be fine." And then it's like, not really. Now it sounds a little wimpy. I gotta push it a little more. And finding that sweet spot especially with drums.
Yeah,
and,
I agree.
And even bass and guitars. I mean, sometimes guitars, you can
They get kind of like shrill and But what I've been doing is, I'll take Pro Tools and tape, so I always will have both. And sometimes it's really cool when it's both of them playing. So I get it lined up sample accurate, and sometimes it'll be like the Pro Tools
But don't you find there's drift in it?
No, I chop it.
Oh.
So I'll keep nudging the tape
to
be lined up with Pro Tools.
That's a lot of work.
Yeah. And so then I'll have it basically where I can go between Pro Tools and tape, and it's sample accurate, and then I'm able to decide maybe the Pro Tools kick, but the tape overheads.
That's great.
Stuff like that.
That's great.
And especially for like with more electronic stuff that has a bunch of electronic elements in it, you can kind of get away with.
Do you ever try putting
stuff.
2 tracks together and getting the little bit of comb filtering that happens?
Oh yeah, all the time.
You
On
get
guitars.
amazing sounds. Guitars, especially,
Yeah.
you get amazing sounds when you have, that half a millisecond delay or whatever it is.
Yeah.
It just filters out
so
weird
awesome.
frequencies.
And then, tape slap. I'm constantly doing that with the machine. It's just everything, like vocals, guitars, drums. Like this, even if I'm doing like the drums completely in Pro Tools, I'll still always have like the analog tape slap going.
That's great.
It's just,
Do you end up with hundreds of tracks?
Yeah. My sessions are huge.
Oh, no.
Some people won't even mix them.
Don't ask me. I have no patience for 120 tracks.
120? That's easy. I'm talking like 250.
No, that's
but
not
I've
possible.
learned. I've been yelled at enough to now I submix it.
Right.
I have to submix it
And
down.
working with Pro Tools folders is kind of not the best.
I don't do it. So I have everything's on the screen, and it's all just the Pro Tools. It was funny because this other engineer I was working with, I had him mix prep a couple sessions for me, and didn't tell me, but he put
everything in folders.
And I came back into the studio and I looked at the computer. I was just like, "What the fuck is all this?" And I kind of
getting everything out of the folder
it's fucking hard.
It's hard. Yeah.
I don't get. But I still don't really understand why it's better. Maybe
visually it's better.
It's visually it's better, and then you're able to like process. I still, someone was saying like you're able to
process the entire folder.
But you're able to do that anyways if it's going through an aux.
Through an aux. But some people, like for instance, my setup in the back there is an analog summing mixer.
Right, yeah.
So I don't really have to go through auxes when I mix. I could if I wanted to, but my auxes in a sense are my summing mixer.
Your auxes are yours.
Yeah.
Right.
Because when you're all in the box, that's basically your summing mixer, all your aux channels.
Right. But you're summing out of the box.
I'm summing out of the box.
Yeah. So I have one of the blanking on what it's called, the passive summer.
Rolls or
no, it's not the Rolls. It's what's the name of that company?
Shadow Hills. I have a Burl.
I'm blanking. Anyways, I have a passive summer going into a pair of 1272s.
Oh, great.
So that's, and the 1272s that's kind of like so I'm coming out 16 channels through the summer into the 1272s, and then from that I'm going into the Dangerous D-Box, what's it?
Yeah, I know the silver one.
The EQ, the stereo EQ. Forget what it's called.
Oh, the Bax one?
The Bax.
Oh, yeah, those are beautiful.
Yeah, the Bax EQ.
Yeah.
And then into the SSL, the C1, the Allen Smart.
Oh, good. Yeah,
that's kind of like,
is that what you have?
Yeah, that's cool. My mix chain. But even doing that, like even going out through the analog, like you instantly...
Gets bigger, gets wider, gets deeper.
Yeah.
I know.
It opens up the mix.
I kind of...
I got addicted to it. And now, and I don't really... I mix like half of what I do. And so... But I've gotten addicted to it to the point where even in my productions,
you have to listen through
I'm always routed out.
Yeah.
And so then I've kind of boxed myself into taking on more work, meaning that I end up having to mix stuff that I don't want to mix.
In your sort of proprietary
because it's routed through, and it sounds a certain way, and then when I go back through, bring everything back through 1 and 2, the production, it kind of fucks you sometimes.
It always feels so much smaller, so much more congested, so scratchy and uptight on the top end.
Yeah, it's really weird.
Yeah, just breaking it out is... It's so like much more friendly on the ears.
Are you only doing 16 or do you?
No, I'm doing
32.
I have a 32
That's
bus
awesome.
Summing mixer.
That's awesome.
So I'm breaking.
Which one are you
everything
using?
out. I have a Burl one.
The Burl one.
And then I change my stereo bus chain depending on the music. I almost always use my Curve Bender EQ. Yep. Sometimes it's the Shadow Hills compressor.
Right.
Sometimes the Allen Smart.
Right.
Sometimes the SSL. I have one of those Fusions. And I just tried their new Mix Bus Plus, they call it, compressor, which is really, really good. You can do a lot of really interesting things with it. Lot of different sounds to be gained from that compressor. It's quite unique.
Check that.
So, like sort of for pop stuff, I'll treat it maybe more with the SSL stuff, but rock stuff I might use the Shadow Hills more, or because they all have different colors, so I really kind of pick and choose.
But the Burl has the makeup gain.
The Burl has the makeup gain. Yeah. I mean, usually I'm pushing it too hard. I never have to.
I have the Bomber. Like that's how I capture it.
That's me too.
So when I go through the mix chain, how I bring it back into Pro Tools is through the Bomber, and I like pushing it.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah, me too. That's my last stop is the Burl Bomber.
Yeah.